Alright, Chris here from High Island DIY, and our next project is going to be this small Craftsman snowblower. It's the middle of December here. We haven't really had much snow yet, but a friend of mine recently moved from an apartment into a house, and he was given this snowblower and told that the recoil was broke on it and it hadn't ran in a couple years, so I told him I'd take a look at it for him. Alright. So this is the snowblower we're working on, and I believe that 5.0 is the motor, 5-horse motor, 22 inches the width of the blower itself. And sorry about the lighting, it's nighttime, I'm out in the shop, I only got a couple lights. So I told him I'd take a look at it, and the electric starter is actually all taken apart off of it. It's got one of the little push button plug-in electric starts, and the recoil is actually gone off of it, and he didn't know where it was, so hopefully I've got one laying around that'll fit on it. I don't see any badging or branding of any kind on the motor, but I'm guessing it's probably a Briggs, maybe a Tecumseh, but I got a lot of old engines laying around, so I'm sure we'll be able to come up with something that'll work for it. Alright, one of the first things you want to do is check and see if there's old gas sitting in the tank. If there is, that's one thing you're going to want to do right away, is drain it out of there. Get all the varnish out of the tank and make sure that's cleaned out so it doesn't plug up your carburetor. So we'll check here. Shine a light down inside. You can see it's completely dry, clean. Looks good, so don't have to worry about that. Next we'll check the oil and see what that looks like inside the motor. Your oil fill cap, dipstick, and it's way down on the add mark, so we'll have to make sure we put oil in it before we start this, if we get it started. Alright, next you're going to want to check to see if the engine has spark. If it doesn't have spark, it might not. Alright, so I've got the spark plug broken loose here. We'll pull that out. It doesn't look too bad. It looks a little bit burnt, maybe. Maybe from running lean on oil. Clean the spark plug up and re-gap it, or you can just go buy a new one. They're only a couple bucks. So I want to see if this thing has spark, but the electric start is broken and the recoil is gone off of it. So I'm going to wrap a nylon strap around that pulley, which is to the crankshaft, where the recoil would go, and I'm just going to pull it over one time and see if we get any spark to the spark plug. It'd even be worth messing around with trying to get it to go. So I'll grab a socket. We'll pull the spark plug out here and check for spark. Alright, if you can see there, I've got a nylon strap wrapped around the pulley, about 4 feet, 3 feet maybe wrapped around it. Just got the other end of it here. I'm going to put the plug into the spark plug boot up here, and then leave it laying on top of the engine exposed where you can see this end. When you pull it over, you need to watch at the end of the spark plug and see if you're getting any spark. I don't know if you could see it there, but there was a spark. I don't know if the camera picked it up. I turned the light off, maybe thinking maybe you could see the spark a little better. Alright, I think you guys could see the spark in the camera there. I turned the light off, so hopefully you could see it a little bit better. Good news that it's sparking. It means that it's worth working on. So the next step is I'm going to probably rummage around and see if I can't find a recoil to fit on here. Alright, so we saw that it had spark, and we know there wasn't no old gas sitting in it, so that's good. So next, I'm probably going to rummage around and see if I can't find a recoil for this in one of my old motors. Of course, you can go to a parts store and buy a new recoil, but try not to spend money on this repair. Trying to do it as cheap as possible, just to show you guys that you can take old stuff and make it work without spending a lot of money on it. So after we find a recoil for it, probably going to have to open up the carb on it and check what kind of condition the needles and the valves and all that is inside the carburetor, just because it was sitting, or I was told that it was sitting for a couple years, so we don't want to have any varnish in the carburetor when we start it up. I mean, I could pour some gas in it, wrap the strap back around it, and fire it up, potentially, see if it would start, but then I'm also taking a chance on blowing anything that was sitting in the carburetor into the motor itself, potentially causing damage later on. Alright, so I just wanted to make a quick little video on things to check over before you start on a project, before you get too much time invested in it. I will be making more videos on this snowblower, hopefully fixing it completely and getting it running and everything, but just a little sneak peek at the project to come, and we'll see you guys on the next video.